In our last odyssey into the masculine psyche, we danced with the lover's fire. We explored that boundless, passionate, and connective energy that infuses life with meaning, beauty, and vitality. The lover, we learned, is the very heart of the mature man, the source of his passion and the why behind his actions. But a fire without a hearth to contain it becomes a wildfire, destructive and chaotic. A heart without discipline is vulnerable and ineffective. For passion to change the world, it must be focused, channeled, and aimed with unwavering precision. It needs a blade. Today, we turn our attention to the archetype that forges that blade, that provides the structure, the discipline, and the courageous action necessary to protect and serve what the lover holds dear. Today, we meet the warrior. Every great civilization has been built upon the bedrock of a great warrior tradition and its accompanying myths. The Old Testament recounts the tales of a warrior people and a warrior god. In the ancient Mediterranean, the Spartans forged perhaps the most legendary warrior tradition of all. From birth, Spartan society molded its boys into soldiers, and that grueling training produced men like Leonidas and his indomitable 300. Feudal Japan had its stoic samurai warriors, whose unshakable courage came from the practice of living as though they were already dead. This archetype is primal, essential, and deeply embedded in our collective unconscious. The warrior still lives today in the reverence we hold for those who serve in the armed forces, and he thunders across our modern screens and pages. William Wallace in Braveheart, leading his people in a desperate fight for freedom, and General Maximus in Gladiator, a man of principle fighting for an ideal in a corrupt world, are powerful embodiments of the warrior archetype. And yet, despite its timeless presence, our modern culture is often deeply uncomfortable with the warrior energy. The advent of mechanized warfare in the 20th century shattered the romantic ideals of chivalry and individual bravery. Since the social and cultural revolutions of the 1960s and 70s, we have often taught our boys and men to avoid confrontation and conflict at all costs, to suppress their aggression, and to instead nurture their feminine side. The result has been the proliferation of the nice guy, a man so terrified of conflict that he avoids aggression even when aggression is not only justified but necessary. Our society encourages men to be sweet and sensitive because it fears them becoming cold, abusive, and destructively angry. But this societal perception of the warrior is not based on the archetype in its full, healthy, and integrated expression. It is based on its shadow. The problem has never been the warrior energy itself. The problem is warrior energy that is not tempered by the other masculine archetypes. Warrior energy that is not guided by the lover's empathy, the magician's reflection, and the king's sense of ordered purpose. The act of fighting, in itself, is not evil. The crucial question is, and always will be, what is a man fighting for? The energy of the warrior is not just necessary on the battlefields of war, but on all the battlefields of life. Properly harnessed, the warrior energy provides a man with an incisive, powerful force that enables him to set goals and achieve them, to fight for worthy causes, to strive for greatness, and to leave behind a lasting legacy. To understand this power, we must first look at the warrior in his fullness. Robert Moore states that the characteristics of the warrior in his fullness amount to a way of life, what the samurai called a do, pronounced do. These characteristics make up a warrior dharma, or ma'at, or Tao, a spiritual or psychological path through life. These are not just combat skills. They are virtues of character that can be applied to any man's mission in life. Whether he is a soldier, a father, a craftsman, or an entrepreneur, let us explore this path. The first and most misunderstood quality of the warrior is his aggression. In our modern lexicon, aggression has become a dirty word. We associate it with unprovoked attacks, with bullying, with senseless violence. We often hear the qualifier excessively placed before it. But this is a profound misunderstanding of a fundamental life force. The true meaning of aggression, from its Latin root aggressio, means to move forward. It is a neutral, vital energy, a tool that can be used for good or for ill. It is the force that pushes a seedling through the hard soil to reach the sunlight. It is the drive that propels an artist to confront a blank canvas, a scientist to tackle an unsolved problem, or an advocate to fight for justice. It is, in essence, life's forward momentum. The way this energy is channeled makes all the difference. A man who cannot control his aggression becomes the bully. He picks fights with everyone over everything, destroying his relationships and stunting his own growth. Conversely, a man who represses his aggression too much becomes the passive-aggressive, nice guy. He is too polite to go after what he wants, and so he simmers with a quiet, corrosive resentment. The integrated warrior, however, knows how to harness his aggression. He is not afraid of it. He has befriended it. He uses it as the fuel that drives him to compete in the world, to strive to be his best, and to move with purpose toward his goals. He is not hostile. He is powerfully assertive. He doesn't start fights, but he is fully prepared to end them. Of course, using one's aggression presupposes that one has a goal to move toward in the first place. This brings us to the warrior's second quality: purpose. The warrior's energy, unlike the hero's, is not for himself. The hero fights to build his own identity. The warrior, having established his identity, fights in service of something larger. This is the great transition from adolescent to mature masculinity. A warrior's life is organized around a central commitment, a transcendent cause to which he pledges his loyalty. This cause could be God, a nation, a community, his family, a code of honor, or a creative mission. This ultimate loyalty gives his life a powerful organizing principle. It provides him with a clear and definite purpose, which in turn eliminates pettiness, distraction, and triviality. It imbues his life with profound meaning and direction. A man without a purpose is adrift. A man with a purpose is a warrior on a mission. The third quality of the warrior is his mindful awareness. This awareness has two crucial aspects. The first is a constant state of alertness and vigilance in the world. The Japanese samurai called this zanshin, a state of relaxed awareness. The warrior is never caught completely off guard. He doesn't allow himself to be lulled into complacency. He is always observing, monitoring, learning, and planning. He possesses a keen situational awareness, whether on a literal battlefield or in a corporate boardroom. He anticipates threats and opportunities before they arise. The second and more profound aspect of his awareness is his constant mindfulness of his own mortality. The warrior lives with an intimate understanding of the inevitability of death. This practice, known in stoicism as memento mori, remember you must die, is not morbid. It is, paradoxically, the source of his greatest courage and clarity. The warrior's courage stems from the fact that he has already made peace with his own death. By confronting and accepting his own finitude, he liberates himself from the fear of it. And if a man does not fear death, what lesser fears can truly hold him? This awareness of life's brevity gives him a profound perspective. He knows that any minute could be his last, and so he makes every day, every action, and every decision count. Carpe diem, seize the day, is his battle cry. He lives with an intensity and focus that is unavailable to those who live under the illusion that they have all the time in the world. From this awareness flows the warrior's fourth quality: adaptability. The warrior is a master strategist, not a blunt instrument. During the American Revolution, the Continental Army knew it could not match the manpower and firepower of the British in traditional open-field battles. So, instead, they adopted guerrilla tactics. They melted into the forests, launching swift, surprising attacks on their enemies' flanks and supply lines. This is the way of the warrior. When faced with overwhelming odds, he does not follow conventional rules. He uses his quick-wittedness and strategic intelligence to find creative ways to turn the situation to his advantage. He is a tactician. He studies his opponent's weaknesses and concentrates his force there. He is flexible, nimble, and able to react to changing circumstances by shifting his tactics on the fly. He does not cling rigidly to a single plan. If that plan is failing, his loyalty is to the mission, not to the method. This adaptability is supported by a fifth quality, a strategic minimalism. The secret to successful guerrilla warfare is the fighter's ability to travel light. While a conventional army's strength lies in its superior resources, those same resources can bog it down and make it slow and predictable. The guerrilla warrior strips away everything non-essential. He carries only what he needs to survive and to accomplish his mission. This allows him to move with speed and agility, to stay several steps ahead of his more cumbersome adversary. This applies not just to physical possessions, but to a minimalism of the mind. The warrior cuts away distracting thoughts, useless worries, petty grievances, and emotional baggage. He simplifies his life so that he can pour all of his energy into his purpose. This mental clarity leads directly to the warrior's sixth quality, decisiveness. In times of peace or crisis, in matters great or small, the warrior possesses the ability to make a bold and clear decision. He does not stand trembling with indecision, endlessly weighing options, paralyzed by the fear of making the wrong choice. Under pressure, he is calm and collected. And once he has made a decision, he commits to it without hesitation or regret. The warrior can be so decisive because he is thoroughly prepared for moments like these. His decisiveness is not impulsiveness, it is the fruit of training, study, and mental rehearsal. He has thought through all the likely contingencies and what he would do in each scenario long before the crisis hits. When the moment of truth arrives, his mind and body already know what to do. It is instinct, but it is a trained instinct. This confidence is rooted in the seventh quality, skill. The warrior is, above all, competent. As Moore notes, the warrior energy is about skill, power, and accuracy. The warrior is a master of the technology of his field, the technology that allows him to achieve his goals. He has developed skill with the weapons he uses to implement his decisions. Whether his weapon is a rifle, a scalpel, a computer keyboard, or the spoken word, he has dedicated himself to mastering his craft. He practices relentlessly, not for show, but for effectiveness. His power is not theoretical. It is grounded in real, demonstrable ability. Finally, all these qualities are bound together by the eighth and perhaps most important virtue, a new kind of discipline. The warrior has achieved mastery over himself, mind, and body. His power comes from his self-control. He knows when and how to be aggressive. He is the master of his own energy, unleashing it and withdrawing it by choice, not by compulsion. He chooses the attitude he will take in any given situation, rather than letting the situation dictate his emotions. Unlike his boyhood predecessor, the hero, the warrior understands his limits. He takes calculated risks, instead of plunging headlong into foolish ones. This discipline also liberates him from the fear of pain. The average, soft man believes all pain is bad. But the warrior knows there is such a thing as good pain and bad pain. He is willing, even eager, to endure the physical and emotional pain that lies on the path to his goals. He is the kind of man who lives by the philosophy that pain is just weakness leaving the body. He embraces hardship because he knows it makes him stronger. This discipline allows him to access a crucial tactical mindset: emotional detachment. Not all the time, but when he is on a mission. To accomplish his task, the warrior must be able to detach from the fear and doubt generated by his own emotions, from the intimidation of his enemy, and from the shoulds and demands placed upon him by family and friends. He needs the kind of mental clarity that comes only from a singular focus. As Moore puts it, the warrior needs room to swing his sword. The great challenge for the warrior is learning to switch this detachment off when the mission is over. The inability to do so can lead directly to one of the warrior's devastating shadows. This brings us to the final positive attribute, which is also a bridge to the negative. The warrior is an agent of creative destruction. He is an archetype of destruction, yes, but the warrior in his fullness destroys only to make way for something new, fresh, and more alive. His action is one of creative destruction. He does not destroy for the sadistic pleasure of it. We summon the warrior archetype when we destroy a bad habit and replace it with a better one, or when we cut a toxic, belittling person out of our lives to make room for those who are illuminating and supportive. He prunes the dead branches so the tree of his life can flourish. When this energy goes wrong, however, it becomes purely destructive. Let us now turn to the dark side of the sword, the bipolar shadows of the warrior, the sadist and the masochist. The active shadow, the sadist, arises when the warrior's tactical detachment becomes his permanent state of being. The man possessed by this shadow has lost his connection to the lover within. He is a warrior without a heart. This is why soldiers, who must cultivate a mission-focused detachment while deployed, can find it so difficult to reintegrate into life at home. A life of mission liberates them from human pettiness, and returning to the emotional needs and daily minutiae of family life can feel frustrating and suffocating. This is also true for the lawyer, the CEO, the politician, or any man who is married to his job. The shift from mission mode back to family mode can be incredibly difficult, and if he fails to make it, the sadist takes over. As his name implies, the sadist is cruel. He can be ruthless, even to the weakest and most vulnerable. He despises what he perceives as weakness in others because he is terrified of it in himself. The military officer possessed by this shadow might try to run his family with the same rigid discipline as his platoon. When his child comes home with a bad grade, the sadistic father doesn't offer compassionate help. He humiliates and berates the child mercilessly. He sets impossibly high standards for himself and for everyone around him, and he feels contempt for anyone who fails to meet them. His hatred of weakness is directly linked back to the hero's struggle to escape the mother. But the mature man who is still insecure about being man enough projects this insecurity outward. He hates in others what he secretly fears in himself. According to Moore, men possessed by the sadist shadow also tend to be workaholics. They are the men who boast about pulling all-nighters at the office and coming home at 7 a.m., only to turn around and go back to work an hour later. They will sacrifice their health, their relationships, and their families on the altar of their ambition. They take the warrior's healthy comfort with pain to a pathological extreme, gritting their teeth as they claw their way to the top. But they are often doing it because they don't truly know what they want out of life, and the constant work is a distraction from this terrifying emptiness. Once they reach the pinnacle of their profession, they often feel hollow, lost, and bitter, but many sadists burn out long before they ever get there. The passive shadow in the warrior triad is the masochist. His attributes are nearly identical to those of the hero's coward shadow, but they are now hardened into a chronic adult pattern. A man possessed by the masochist feels helpless and powerless. He is a pushover, a doormat with no personal boundaries who lets others walk all over him. He may hate his job or his relationship and complain about it endlessly, but instead of leaving, cutting his losses, and moving on, he digs in his heels and tries even harder to be what his boss or his girlfriend wants him to be, inviting even more humiliation. Because although he may complain about his pain, he is, on some level, perversely enjoying it. He is addicted to his own martyrdom. The bipolar shadows often work in tandem against a man. The man under the influence of the masochist will endure contempt and abuse from others without fighting back or asserting himself. Then one day, a criticism from his wife, a slight from his boss pushes him over the edge, and he explodes with verbal and sometimes physical violence. The masochist, having stored up a lifetime of resentment, erupts into the sadist. So how do we access the positive warrior energy that is so lacking in many men today? The world needs men connected to this archetype, men who will risk themselves to fight for a just cause. What can we do? First, immerse yourself in the stories of great warriors. Yes, it's a cliché, but it works. Watch warrior films. They don't have to be war movies. Any film that showcases men with a warrior spirit will do. When you watch Braveheart or Gladiator, don't just watch for the action. See the loyalty, the purpose, the sacrifice. Read the biographies of great warriors, historical and modern. Study works like Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, the ultimate philosopher warrior. Second, engage in physical discipline training. Take up boxing or a martial art. This is not primarily about learning to fight others. It's about learning to control your own aggression, to remain calm under pressure, and to master your own body. It is the physical practice of discipline. Do things that scare you. Intentionally and regularly step outside your comfort zone. This is the training ground of courage. Third, find your purpose and your principles. Work to become more assertive. Discover your core values. What are you willing to suffer for? What hill are you willing to die on? Once you know your principles, establish a set of non-negotiable codes of conduct for yourself and live by them. Create a plan and purpose for your life. This gives your warrior a mission. Fourth, train your mind and body for the mission. Increase your adaptability by building your resilience. Learn and practice the skills necessary to accomplish your goals. Whether it's marksmanship, computer programming, or public speaking, become a master of your craft. Increase your discipline by establishing daily routines and habits. Adopt a philosophy of minimalism. Declutter your life. Simplify your finances. Get rid of debt. This is about becoming mission-ready, stripping away all that is non-essential so you can move with speed and focus. And finally, practice mindfulness, especially of your own mortality. Meditate on the fact that your time is limited. This will not make you sad. It will make you focused, courageous, and alive. It will connect you to the warrior's noble heart, a heart that is willing to fight and even to die for something that truly matters.